Welcome back. Next up we have intelligence. So intelligence, again, is part of this cognition umbrella that we're looking at. And so let's just dig on in with intelligence. What is intelligence? If you've ever paused to think, what is intelligence? What makes one intelligent? Now, of course, we're in the educational world, and so people often go to getting good grades. If you get good grades, you must be intelligent. You have people who then look at other aspects. So you have somebody who could be socially intelligent, where maybe books are not their thing, but they are so good with people. Like, oh my goodness, they could make a friend with anybody in 2 seconds. Do you know those people? Oh my gosh, I admire those people. I'm not one of those. But I admire they have this social intelligence where they know how to reach out to other people and talk to them and make them feel warm and welcome and friendly. And okay, so there's social intelligence. We could take a look at spatial intelligence is another thing that people look at. And spatial intelligence is looking at how your body fits into the world. And so dancers have spatial intelligence. Ice skaters have spatial intelligence. And basically, a different way to say it is, I know where my body is. I know how my body fits. And then I can also coordinate my body with those around me. So if you're doing, let's say, synchronized dancing, somebody with this type of intelligence would be able to not only be able to control their body, but also be aware of other people's body movements in order to either imitate or mirror or coincide with what it is that they are doing. Okay? So there's different types of intelligence. Previously, when we talk about intelligence, it is thought that it was an inborn trait, much like knowledge. And that it's consistent throughout your life. So you're born with this level of intelligence, and that's all that you get. So you get a lot of intelligence, you get a little bit of intelligence, but whatever you're born with is what you get. You can't go above and beyond your intelligence level. Now what we say is it's less clear. We're not necessarily sold out on this idea that you are born with a certain level of intelligence and that it's consistent throughout your life, that maybe you have ebbs and flows when it comes to your intelligence level. Intelligence is an ability to adapt to and learn from experience with your world. Okay, so this is a definition that might be good to know. Intelligence is an ability to adapt to and learn from experience with your world. All right, so we can take a look at street smarts or street intelligence. And this is where you're aware of everything that's going on around you and what should you do and what should you not do based upon the environment that you're in. So intelligence in this case would be the ability to adapt to the environment that you're in. And then you're also going to learn from the experience that you're in. Okay, so, oops, that was not good. Don't do that again. Or, ooh, that was spot on. Do that again when I'm in this scenario again. Okay, so intelligence, this is a very broad definition to include all of those different types that we're talking about. We can talk about book intelligence or educational type intelligence. We can take a look at social intelligence, spatial intelligence, street smarts. All of these fit underneath this umbrella of the definition that we gave here, the ability to adapt to and learn from experience with your world. All right, so that being said, now that we know what intelligence is, how do we measure intelligence? We can't say like, oh, well, you have 2 cups of intelligence, right? So how do we measure people's intelligence? Previously, we used this thing called the intelligence quotient, which is your IQ, right? Your intelligence quotient. It's your mental age divided by your chronological age times 100. So your chronological age, let's start there. Your chronological age is where you are on the calendar, so to speak. So you're 8 years old, you're 10 years old, you're 33 years old. That's that second piece, your chronological age. that first piece, your mental age, is where cognitively you stand. Okay, so these don't always match up, and that's what makes the intelligent quotient so interesting. You could be the chronological age of 8, but have the mental age of a 6-year-old. Okay, so that would mean that you're not quite up to where your peers are. You could take an 8-year-old and they may have a mental age of a 10-year-old. And so they are advanced. They're beyond those of their peers. All right? So we take the mental age, divide it by their chronological age, multiply it by 100, and that is your IQ score. All right, that was previous. Today, mental ability score is based on the test taker's performance relative to the average performance of others of the same age. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. Your mental ability score is based on your performance as we compare you to the average of others of the same age. So if you're 21 years old, we would compare you to other 21-year-olds and the average score of a 21-year-old. If you're 8, we're going to compare you to 8-year-olds and their average performance. Does that make some sense? We'll dig into this a little bit more in class, but that's kind of a general idea of the test taker's performance in comparison to the average performance of others of the same age. This is a good thing to know. 100 is the average, with 2/3 of people scoring between 85 and 115. So in class, I'll draw this out for you. I know you can't see it right now, but if you know what the bell curve is, it's just a curve. It's hard without a picture. So the bell curve, right in the middle, that average is going to be 100. On either side of that, 2/3 of people are going to score somewhere between 85 and 115. These numbers would be good to know just so you have a frame of reference in terms of how we score individuals. So the average being 100, the range being 85 to 115. All right, the WAIS. The WAIS is the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. This is a very prominent intelligence scale, and some of you have probably done this before. The WAIS it's a big name. They also have one for children called the WISC, but we're going to focus right here on the WAIS. There are 2 primary scales, or 2 primary ways that we're going to measure our adults in this scenario. We're going to look at verbal and performance. So the verbal side of the testing is going to look at different things, including similarities, vocabulary, and general information. Similarities is this thing in which we're going to give you 2 different ideas, and you're going to tell us how they are similar. So how are wool and cotton alike? If you say, well, they both make up clothing, that's an accurate answer, so you'd get points for that. It's not really in-depth, though. So if you could give a more in-depth description of how wool and cotton are alike, that would earn you more points in terms of giving you a higher score on your intelligence scale. Vocabulary is exactly what it sounds like. I would be administering this to you, and I would say, please give me the definition of extracurricular. And then you would have to describe to me extracurricular. Give me the definition of this term. If you get it right, you get points. If you get it wrong, you get fewer to no points. If you give this fabulous descriptive definition, then you earn more points. Another one is general information. General information, again, is a verbal test. Can you verbalize this piece of general information? So what is the population of the world? And you would give me some sort of verbal answer regarding this particular question. The second thing that we would test you on when it comes to the WAIS, or the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, is performance. So verbal is, of course, more of a verbal type assessment. Can you verbalize these pieces? The performance subtest is going to be a little bit more hands-on. Because what's really interesting is some people are so great at verbalizing, but you put some sort of hands-on project in front of them and it's not good. And sometimes it goes the other way. And our abilities are so different. And so I like that they test both of these sides to accommodate both your verbal abilities and your hands-on abilities. Okay, so performance subtest. We can look at picture completion, picture arrangement, block design, and object assembly. Your book has a couple different pictures that you can take a look at for this in particular, but I wanted to show you this because this one's my favorite. I love playing around with this. This is the block design, and they're made up of little cubes. They're little blocks. Some of them have half, they're actually red, but this looks pink, half red and half white. Some of them are all white, and some sides are all red. So what we do is we give them a picture, and we say, you can basically see here there are 4 blocks that they're going to need to use. We hand them 4 blocks, and we say, make this image using these 4 blocks. And then we time them to see how quickly they can manipulate these blocks by turning them around to look at all of the different red and white and red sides in order to make this image. Now it's going to get harder the better they do, so we'll start with 4 blocks, and then we'll do 4 blocks, but we won't indicate the different lines here. So these showing that there's 4 blocks, we'll take those away. That'll make it more difficult. And then we will add on more blocks. Maybe we'll add on 2 over here, or maybe we'll add on so that there's like 3, 6, 9 blocks. And so we just keep getting more and more difficult with the patterns, the amount of blocks, the visual cues that we give them to see how quickly they can manipulate them to do the final result that we're looking for. It's really kind of fun. Well, I'm a hands-on person, so I think it's fun. For those of you who do not like hands-on, you would not like it. Picture completion, picture arrangement, those are in the book, so we're going to skip past those right now. But this part, I just wanted to make sure that you saw that we have verbal and performance as 2 different sub-tests for the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, or the WAIS. There's an alternative theory to this idea, and this is Sternberg's 3 intelligences. We have analytical, creative, and practical intelligence. Analytical intelligence is basically problem solving regarding academics. So this is where we were talking about the whole educational world and can you take tests really good, that type of thing. So analytical intelligence is typically what you think of when you think about academics. Problem solving regarding academics, that's analytical intelligence. Creative intelligence is reacting adaptively to new situations. So you just lost your job. Can you react to that in an adaptive manner? That would be creative intelligence. Or you just broke up with your longtime boyfriend. It's a new situation. How do you react to that and adapt to the new situation? That's called creative intelligence. Practical intelligence is the ability to solve everyday problems. Now, you don't lose your job every day, and you don't break up with your significant other every day, but we do have everyday problems, like going to the gas station, buying groceries. I have a whole long to-do list, and I only have 3 hours to do it. How do I prioritize it? That would be your practical intelligence. Okay, so one thing, these seem very straightforward, and they really are, but I think students sometimes oversimplify these. So make sure you know what these are and how to apply them to various scenarios. And I'll give you some examples in class to practice this, but make sure you know what does practical intelligence look like? What's an example of practical intelligence? I'm going to skip through these. The last thing we're going to take a look at is emotional intelligence. I'm going to have you read this. These are characteristics of somebody who is high in emotional intelligence. Even though I'm not going to give it a lot of time because we're running out of time, make sure you know these because these are going to be very important. And I'll try to cover it in class just a little bit more since my 15 minutes is coming up here. So emotional intelligence, being self-aware, delaying gratification, knowing about empathy. All right, that wraps this up. Have a great day.